Hey guys, Nerdy John here, and I want to do a what if in the style of Moscow X, sort of. So, today I want to discuss a what if that, sure, not a lot of people have thought up of, but it's been on my mind, and it's kind of like fan fiction-y, but I've been wanting to talk about it anyway. What if Alex Mercer from Prototype was in Dragon Ball Z? Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, what's the correlation? It's not, there's no real correlation in it. I kind of just wanted to discuss it. And the question arises, what point in Dragon Ball Z does he emerge? To make it simple, we're just going to say that Alex decides to pop up during the Saiyan saga, so the very beginning. And I think for this purpose of this video, I'm going to have it take place the majority of the time during the Saiyan saga. Okay, so we open up. We're just gonna say Alex wakes up in this world. He doesn't know where he's at, and so he absorbs someone to figure out some information. Maybe like a criminal of some kind, or maybe just some random pedestrian off the street, because I'm basing Alex's character off his Prototype 1 incarnation, where he wasn't a goody two-shoes, but he wasn't trying to be a bad person. At least he had good intentions in the end. So we're gonna say he absorbs someone and he figures out some information. He doesn't know about the Z fighters, obviously, but he might find out about like King Piccolo, because the residents of the Dragon Ball universe were at least aware for that one. And I don't think Alex would be able to... He wouldn't be able to sense ki. Naturally, anyway. And he couldn't absorb one of the Z fight... Sorry. Bad cough. Luckily I got water. He wouldn't be able to sense ki off the bat, and he wouldn't be able to absorb one of the Z fighters for that. Now, like I said, this is the beginning of the Saiyan saga, so let's jump into it. Raditz arrives on Earth. He senses 3 big power levels. For the sake of... We'll say this is endgame. This is Alex when he is fully upgraded, all that, and it's at the end of the Prototype 1. He still has that anti-hero-esque characteristic to him. So he senses Alex's power level. Now, what would Alex's power level be exactly? He's faster, much stronger than the average human, with a fantastic regeneration ability, something that I don't even think the Saiyans could have. Like, I think his regeneration ability would be even better than Piccolo's, because he came back just from a drop. When it comes to like raw power involving ki, though, he's definitely outclassed. But for the sake of the argument, let's be fair and say that Alex would be around not 700, because like 713 is where Piccolo and Goku were at. So we're gonna be fair and say like 650. This is the only time I'll really be discussing like power levels to any degree. So he not senses because he's using a scouter. His scouter picks up all of these power levels. So, he goes to Piccolo first because that's the closest. When he discovers that Piccolo isn't who he's looking for, he goes over to, let's say, he goes over to Goku. He explains that he's his brother and that Goku is a Saiyan. And then after his confrontation with Goku, this is where the what if begins to differentiate. Out of curiosity, Raditz decides to check out this third power level. Sure, it's a weakling, but he's still curious on what this planet has to offer. So he sees that it's Alex. And Alex is kind of confused by the situation. He does sense that Raditz is somewhat of a threat. And Raditz would probably say something like, "So, you're one of the strongest this planet has to offer. My, this planet is weak and pitiful." And, let's say, I don't know if he would necessarily be enraged by that. Let's say he is, because he doesn't necessarily care about anyone at the moment. But maybe the thought of him being, insulted by this dude gets to him a bit. So, Alex attacks. He dashes onto him, hits him with, tries to claw at him with his claw ability, and let's say he cuts him a little bit, but Raditz is a bit too fast, and so he's able to counter with a heavy punch, knocking Alex into a building. And when he sees that Alex gets back up, he hits a ki blast at him, which then Alex would activate his shield ability, which helps staves off some of the damage. Remember, Alex is pure biomass. He doesn't have the normal anatomy that we may associate with a normal human. He doesn't have a heart. He's just a virus that exists. And so, I forget exactly what the ability is called, but when Alex has the two heavy fists, I think it's like hammer fist, I want to say. I know it's pretty generic, but I think that's exactly what they're called. He gets into that formation, and then he goes in for another punch. This hurts Raditz a bit, and with his scouter, he notices a fluctuation of the power level that Alex gives off. Because he has Gohan with him, he knows that he can't get that serious, otherwise Goku, or Kakarot in this case, might go off on the deal. So he retreats and heads off. Goku and Raditz and Piccolo have their meeting, and when they are heading towards Raditz, they notice the other power level, Alex's power level. And so they go off to see him, and I can imagine that seeing a green alien and another guy who kind of looks like the other guy who previously tried to kill you, I imagine that Alex would either be very defensive at first, or he would try to absorb them. My guess is that after a bit of explaining, Goku and Piccolo would be able to convince him to come along. And thanks to Alex's abilities, he's able to somewhat keep up with them on their way. Because the fact that a little kid is associated in the situation, I think Alex is a bit willing to help. Also to get back at Raditz. And he joins up with them. And because Raditz doesn't really care at this point, he goes after them like he does in the original timeline, except with Alex in the mix, which throws him off slightly with a third opponent at him, but he's able to keep up with the three relatively. Alex tries all he can at him. We'll say that he even goes into his more armored form. Piccolo tells him and Goku about his new technique, Special Beam Cannon, and so they decide to hold off Raditz while the fighting starts. He's able to get a few more cuts and bruises into Raditz along with Goku's help, and even in his armored state, he's able to absorb a lot more damage. But because there's nothing really surrounding the area that he can absorb right off the bat, he gets a bit weakened. And so we get to the point where Goku has to sacrifice himself. When he does, Alex sees how weakened Raditz is, and so he goes over and he absorbs him. Now, this causes him to get a surge of strength, because the entire concept of Alex Mercer in the Prototype series is that he absorbs the knowledge and skills, most likely strength, of anyone he absorbs. So I can imagine absorbing a Saiyan, especially Raditz, who, while is one of the weaker characters, absorbing that much power compared to what he's used to would throw him off a bit, but he would also obtain the knowledge of the other Saiyans. And because of we're going to say right before he absorbs him, they talk about reviving Goku with the Dragon Balls. And so Vegeta and Nappa still get the info they need to go to Earth. And so Goku dies and goes to King Kai's to train. With the information that Alex would tell Piccolo and the others, they decide to get ready. And what's different here is that Alex decides to train with Piccolo because that's the person in this situation he knows most of. So yeah, he would train with Piccolo along with Gohan, and I would say that over time, gradually, especially with absorbing Raditz, he would learn a little bit of Ki, although not to the extent that Goku and Piccolo and the other Z fighters even know Ki. Remember, they've had Ki naturally in their bodies their entire life. Even Gohan. So I imagine having Ki suddenly just given to you wouldn't probably adjust well to it, but he does know how to sense power levels, and he can throw a few Ki blasts here and there. And he sort of already knew how to fly with his abilities anyway. And so a year later, Need to get a drink of water again. So after a year of training, the Saiyans arrive. Let's Alex, Gohan, and Piccolo and Gohan specifically, are much stronger than they are in the original timeline, thanks to Alex being there to give them a helping hand in training. The Z Fighters, the rest of them, Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Tien's Chao's. Sorry, it's been a while since I watched DBZ. Chaozu, we'll say that they're slightly stronger in this timeline, slightly stronger than they are originally, but relatively around the same strength. And so their fight with Nappa begins, and even with his regeneration abilities, we'll say that Alex is having a bit of a rough time. We'll say instead of Yamcha going after one of the Cybermen, Alex goes in his stead, and he easily defeats the Cybermen. So, for now, anyway, Yamcha is saved. And during the fight with Nappa, not much is going to change here. Tien, Chaozu are still going to die. And Yamcha will die to him as well, because let's say he joins Tien in an all-out ki blast attack. Tien dies right there in front of him. With what little of his strength remains, he charges at Nappa and he just snaps his neck. So we're left with Krillin, Gohan, Piccolo, and Alex. The same will happen with Piccolo. He dies sacrificing himself for Gohan, and we'll say that Alex, while still being able to fight, is badly injured. He's even tempting it's tempting for him to absorb Gohan and Krillin just to get his energy back, so that way he can scrape his wounds and fight them again. Luckily, though, Goku arrives just in time with his Kaioken ability, and he's able to subdue Nappa. This causes Vegeta to kill him, and because of his absorption of Raditz, he understands Saiyan pride a bit, Alex. So he decides to take Krillin and Gohan and go ahead and leave the fight for a bit while Goku and Vegeta have their fight. But when Gohan wants to go back, Alex, wanting to admittedly fight and absorb Vegeta, since Vegeta destroyed Nappa, he's gonna want to join in. So they decide to help out Goku, and it's just in time because Vegeta is in his grade 8 form. With that, Yajirobe does not help this time, but instead Alex, because he's able to form a sword with his hand. So he cuts Vegeta's tail, and they're able to fight him more evenly now, especially with Alex there helping them out. for this fight, I don't think it's going to be necessary for Gohan to transform into the Great Ape again. So we're say that's not going to happen. And this time around, I think because of how brutal Alex fights, Vegeta is definitely going to be more wounded than he was in the original timeline. He's crawling to his escape pod, just barely able to get inside. But then Alex is about to kill him, ready to absorb everything that Vegeta knows, all of his strengths. But Goku stops him just in the nick of time. Goku pleads with him, saying that he wants to be able to fight Vegeta on his own again someday. Alex is very conflicted here, not because he wants to save the universe or anything like that. Part of him wants to absorb Vegeta, gain massive amounts of strength. On the other hand, because of him understanding Saiyan pride a bit, he understands where Goku's coming from, sort of. So, at the end of the day, he decides to let Vegeta go. And so, with that, our characters plan their trip to Namek, while Vegeta can't help but think of the failure that this has been, and that if he doesn't do something soon, Lord Frieza will find out about it. I know this was kind of like all over the place, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to make a part 2 to this, so if you can, please subscribe, comment, and tune in next time for hopefully part 2 of What If Alex Mercer Was in Dragon Ball Z.